We move on now to our second leading story for today's program. A constitutional interpretation crisis may be brewing in Kenya following the decision of main opposition party, the National Super Alliance, NASA, not to participate in a presidential election rerun ordered by the country's Supreme Court. The decision was announced by its leader and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga on Tuesday and has now set Kenya's Electoral Commission, known as the IEBC, into crisis talks with his lawyers to discuss the decision options available to it. There have also been huge reactions from Kenyans on social media about Mr. Odinga's decision to withdraw from the election, the rerun election scheduled for later this month. Let us now quickly give you what Mr. Odinga had said about his decision to withdraw from the October 26 rerun polls. Take a listen.
You've come to the conclusion that there is no intention on the part of the IEBC to undertake any changes to its operations and personnel to ensure that the illegalities and irregularities that led to the invalidation of the 8th August 2017 do not happen again. All indications are that the election scheduled for 26th of October will be worse than the previous one.
Dans le camp d'en face, pas question de se laisser troubler par cette décision de
The opposing camp does not seem to be bothered by the move of the opposition coalition. President Uhuru Kenyatta said the election will go ahead as per the Supreme Court orders.
The court said IEBC did no wrongdoing. All these conditions you are issuing, and the same IEBC is the one that declared all the other leaders as winners. And there is not a single Kenyan who has said there's a problem with those declared winners. Then where's the problem?
Comme on vient de l'entendre,
as we've heard, the opposition does not trust the Electoral Commission and says it cannot go to an election being conducted by people who have lost credibility.
Electoral estime qu'elle ne peut pas aller aux élections avec des gens qui ont perdu toute
Joining us for more from Nairobi is Benji Ndolo, our political commentator.
Merci d'être des nôtres.
Thank you for speaking to us, Benji. Now, why is NASA insisting on the removal of the IEBC personnel when the time frame within which this election rerun is to be held is not favorable?
In simple terms, we do have a problem in Kenya. The perception is that the election, and these are the findings of the court, there was hacking, there was transmittal of statistics that appeared as results from non-gazetted polling stations. There were many irregularities. And the refusal to dismiss the team indicates a lack of political will and the willingness, therefore, to go down the same path. So this, the opposition would find to be untenable.
Now, the president says the election would go on as planned with only one candidate. But what does the law say?
As you can imagine, the text of the Constitution is not all that straightforward. There is the Constitution, there is subsidiary legislation, and there is precedent, specifically the ruling of the Supreme Court of 2013. And so if you read all of these together, along with the political intentions of Honorable Raila Odinga, you can be sure that he's not withdrawing to make the path easier for President Uhuru. If you read Article 138, 1B, and also subsection 9 of the Constitution, it makes it clear that then you would kind of have to restart the process afresh to get nominees to these offices and then to move forward to get them certified and to move forward to an election. But the problem is, remember, we had an annulled election which specified change in 60 days, which then now is remaining about 24 days. That's part A of the argument. Part B then would be the temptation to maybe have the incumbents to continue. But then how do you have them continue without an election? How do you have them continue when, in essence, this could be a trap that then says, look, he's continued without the mandate of the rest of the country, and therefore he can only be president of one part of the country, and then maybe we can have another president for another part of the country, and thirdly, who's going to swear him in that kind of circumstance?
Now, is Kenya staring at a constitutional crisis?
That's exactly what we're headed into now. And then there are a couple of just what you could call juvenile blunders. For example, October 26th happens to be the president's birthday, and then with this kind of contentious reality, why would the electoral body, that is already seen as biased, that is seen as leaning towards the government and under the control of the current government, why would you then put this event that is already so controversial, so bitterly contested, why would you put it on the president's birthday? So it is really a tough time for the country and for the region.
Thank you. Well, that was Benjamin Ndolo, a political commentator, giving us some analysis on the political situation.
Thanks for speaking with us there. You're watching The Morning Call right here on African News. Do not worry if you've missed anything. Visit our website, www.africanews.com, to catch up on all of the stories and watch The Morning Call and indeed our other programs. Also for the news as it breaks, we are on Twitter at African News and at African News FR in French. Now, still to come, Stefan Kunye joins us a little later in the studio to give us the very latest from the world of business in Africa. Plus, we also have sports news to come. We go on a quick break now, and we'll be right back.